everyone. You're listening to Those Are the Girls. I'm Mallory.
And I'm Bailey.
And we are changing culture and bringing back traditional values. Today is a really special bonus episode that we're doing, and we're just going to talk a little bit about the breaking news about Amy Coney Barrett being nominated by President Trump as the next Supreme Court Justice. Bailey, what do you think?
So excited. So excited. Her speech yesterday, I think it was yesterday, right? But the nomination was so awesome. She is so strong. She's so, I couldn't believe how young she is, and because the Supreme Court Justice is a lifetime appointment, I always think of the judges being like older and, not more experienced, but just like old and they've done this their whole lives, right? And so it's a good reminder that you start young and you work your way up to that point. And so she's going to be there for her lifetime, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's so cool. And I actually had the opportunity I wasn't at the White House, which is where it was announced, but I was at the Supreme Court with Students for Life, and they had a little rally and a prayer visual like right before. And it was super exciting. Like everybody, when they announced it, someone I guess got a notification and said, hey, they did it, because there was a lot of people there. And everybody cheered. Well, everybody on our side cheered and was like, oh, it was just so exciting. And I was looking, so I didn't get to actually physically see it at the time, but I was like looking at pictures and stuff and seeing how her daughter, someone got a picture capturing like her daughter looking up at her. That was so precious.
That was adorable. Yes, I agree.
It was like, and honestly, I feel like, sorry, I'm jumping all over the place because I have a lot of thoughts. It also kind of reminds me of Kayleigh McEnary, of how she, as a mom, like, women, we are so capable of doing so much. We can do it all. With balance, obviously, you're not Superwoman and we need partners in these type of things, but we can. It is possible to be a mom, first of all, to be a Christian and in a godly marriage, to be a mom and to have a successful career.
Absolutely.
So I absolutely love that.
Right. Well, and I think it was so good. She started off that speech talking about Justice Ginsburg. And like we said, we don't want to praise her because her politics we disagree with, but fighting for women to have kids in the workplace is so huge. And that was something she fought for. And I think when Amy mentioned that in her acceptance speech, it was just an incredible way to honor and respect the person who came before you while highlighting their disagreements. And, someone with 7 kids and 2 adopted, biracial adoption, a kid with special needs. I mean, she is a mother who has handled it all. And I think that's just really inspiring.
Yeah. Oh, she's so inspiring. I mean, if God blesses me with marriage and kids, like she is the type of woman that I would aspire to be like.
Absolutely.
And then also I wanted to say really quick, give some of her credentials, because one of the things that we absolutely love is not just that she's a woman. I mean, I love that, but also too, she's a qualified woman.
Correct.
Like, she wasn't picked just because she checked a box here.
Right. She wasn't picked because she was a woman. She was picked for many reasons. And I think, Mallory, you've got a list of those, right?
Yes. So first one, for those that do not know, she went to Notre Dame Law School and she graduated first in her class. So that's, first of all, Notre Dame Law School is a really good law school. Pretty sure it's tier 1. The fact that she graduated first, that says a lot right there. And she was a clerk for Justice Scalia. And she also was a visiting professor at George Washington Law. And then she became a full-time professor at Notre Dame Law, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
And she received the Distinguished Professor of the Year when she was at Notre Dame.
How legally blonde, I just see a beautiful woman she's gorgeous and she's got great fashion sense. And I just imagine her being number 1 in her class at Notre Dame is literally like watching Elle Woods in Legally Blonde.
Yes. Yeah. Wait. Great.
Except, qualified.
Yeah. was pretty qualified too.
She worked really hard. She worked really hard. I guess I meant more in the worked on it her whole life, not just decided to do it to
Fair,
follow a relationship.
fair. Okay, that's a very good point.
The more
Um,
realistic Legally Blonde.
fair. Okay, so then I want to say this quote too, because one of the reasons why I'm excited for her personally is because she's a constitutionalist, and that means
Mm,
she's going to follow the Constitution and she's not going to impose like her personal beliefs. And that's what we need people on the Supreme Court who are not going to make the decision based off of how they feel something should be determined.
correct.
So, when during a Senate criticism of her faith, she replied, "It is never appropriate for a judge to impose that judge's personal convictions, whether they arise from faith or anywhere else, on the law." And I think that is, I mean, that's amazing. That is something that we need a justice that is going to do that. And a huge point to her being nominated as well, she's the first conservative woman
Woman.
judge. Yeah. So I think that's an amazing point too.
Yeah, she is absolutely killing it. She's deserves all of the talk, all of the praise. We absolutely love the choice. And I was thinking, how lucky are we that our country, our constitution was built on the Bible and built on faith. And so
Yeah.
even though the Supreme Court doesn't impose their religion onto the Constitution is founded on biblical principles. And so, how lucky are we that we're going to have someone in the Supreme Court that is going to uphold our Constitution, which at the end of the day is a biblical value system?
Yeah. Yes. And very good point. Most countries are not formed, their constitution specifically is not formed like ours.
Correct.
We are very, very blessed. And that was one of the things, too, I was thinking about yesterday. So I've been in DC for a couple of days, and I was in DC for a conference. And yesterday, the Return, which was a conference, a Christian conference, the prayer walk, and then Focus on the Family did something all yesterday. Some of that stuff had been planned 2 years in advance. Some have been planned months in advance. Some have been planned weeks in advance. But all of these different Christian conferences, Christian gatherings were all together on one day when we just got, and then Justice Ginsburg died. Then President Trump decided to confirm on today. So just think, like, God knew all of this was going to happen at
Right.
the
It
same
sounds like God
time.
was planning a celebration.
Yeah, no, seriously, and that was like really great because when we were there were not a bunch of. I mean, there were people who were protesting, but it wasn't like it was definitely more on our side than on the other side, and that
Sure.
would not have happened if those other events weren't happening that day. Because so many people came up and were like, "Oh, what's this?" And I was like, "Oh, we're doing like a little rally for the." "Oh, that's so great! Can I have a T-shirt? Can I have a sign?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, come join us."
That's awesome. That's so great. And I believe, if I remember correctly from our stories and from what you've told me, you were also interviewed by Breitbart. How was that experience?
Yeah, that was really cool. Basically, they just asked like my opinion on like what did I think about what was going on, what did I think about Amy being nominated, and so yeah, it was a really cool experience. I love stuff like that. Y'all can hear and tell in my voice. I love talking. So and I love giving my opinion. So that was really cool. And Breitbart, I love Breitbart too. Have the app, read their news, follow them on Instagram and everything. So that was pretty awesome.
That's really cool. Well, I am excited to see your journey in DC, and I'm excited to see Amy's journey in the Supreme Court. What a long time I'm sure we'll have with her to, the most important part, the most exciting part is going to be getting her confirmed, hopefully, as soon as we possibly
Yes.
can. So
Gosh, I hope so. Do you think that it's going to be a long time? What's your opinion on that?
I don't think so. I think that people are going to try to put up walls and try to put up barriers. I've already seen people attacking her for adopting biracially and saying that that's caused the kids trauma, and it's like everybody talks about Republicans being racist, and then she adopts black babies and it's not good because it's biracial trauma. And they're going to put up walls and try and block her from getting in, but I don't think that they're going to be successful. I think that there's too much at stake for this seat to remain open for the election. So I think that the Republicans, especially the Senate, will do everything in their power to get her confirmed as soon as they can.
Yeah. I really, 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 really hope so.
Yeah, me too. That would
Yeah.
make the election just a little bit less crazy if it's already done.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely think it's going to be a fight. And I definitely, like you said, they're definitely going to be bringing up, because they can't come on her merit. So they're going to bring up literally everything else. But it's definitely going to be a fight. But I will say it's really great that we have God on our side. So no matter what happens, God's in control. We know that to be a
Absolutely.
fact.
And God's going to put the people in control that are supposed to be in control. And we have to respect that no matter what that decision is. But, we can fight for the ones that we see that uphold biblical truths.
Yes. Yes. Amen.
All right. Well, thanks for discussing her with me. I know you've done a lot more research on her recently than I have, so good to hear your knowledge and your experience out there in DC.
Yeah, I am super excited. I love this stuff. This is like my bread and butter. I love this. Thanks, guys, for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you guys for watching today's episode of Those Other Girls. Make sure you also listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Yes, and make sure you subscribe, you like, you comment, and you share this with all of your friends.
And make sure you follow us at Those Other Girls Podcast on Instagram.